Hi everyone, Miss Melinda here to bring us our live spirit chat, which happens once per week. This is a chance for you to participate in a group coaching session and ask any questions that you may have regarding developing your spiritual practice, developing your spiritual connection, developing your intuition, developing your psychic abilities, and everything related and in between. I have taken some early submission questions, as I usually do. So I am going to address those questions before I jump into taking other questions. However, if you have questions, please, you can throw them out there now and I will answer them when I'm done with the early bird submissions, or you can hold on to them until I'm ready to take some new questions. I hope everyone's doing good today. I hope everyone's having a great weekend. It's nice to see some familiar faces here. So I'm going to jump right into my questions. Actually, first I'm going to do my special announcements. I do have a couple of special announcements. The first announcement is that I have a new moon group spiritual service coming up on the new moon, which is Saturday, May 4th. That service is going to be dedicated to Our Lady of Dymphna. If you are interested in joining that service, you can go ahead and check my Patreon page, Miss Melinda's Metaphysical Services on Patreon, and sign up for May's services. Or you can go ahead and shoot me an email to sign up a la carte. The email address is inquiries@missmelinda.com. The other announcement is that I will be giving face-to-face readings at a nicely discounted price at the Austin Witches Market at the Vortex, and that is going to be Sunday, May 12th. So I look forward to seeing all of you local folks there. If you've been waiting to get a face-to-face reading with me, that is a really great place to do so. I look forward to those two things. So I'm going to jump right into the pre-submitted questions, or the early bird questions. What small things can a person do to bring good energy into your daily life? So I do have a YouTube video about this, and it's called Everyday Practical Magic. And there are lots and lots of small things that you can do every day to bring good vibes or good energy or magic into your daily life. And I do highly recommend that you look at the practice of magic as a daily practice, which is not separate from your mundane life, but rather a part of your everyday habits, a part of your everyday mundane life. And when you're able to integrate it into your life in that way, it doesn't have to be such a big deal. It doesn't have to be so intimidating. That's the whole point of folk magic, that it's approachable, that it's practical, that it's something that you can use every day, right? So for instance, I like to integrate magic into my house cleaning, and I do so by creating special floor washes or adding Florida water to my floor wash, by using essential oils around my home, by burning incense around my home, by interacting with my house plants, things of that nature. And do so with intention. Do so with intention, even if it's just something as simple as lighting a stick of incense in the morning and saying a quick prayer in your mind or out loud, maybe stating an intention that you're going to have a beautiful, wonderful day, maybe stating an intention that you're going to be attracting blessings and positive experiences into your life. Whatever it may be, even just the simple act of lighting a stick of incense or a cone of incense in the morning is a great habit to get into. And once you get into the habit of just some very small steps like that, it's really easy to build upon the practice, right? And then you begin to notice that, well, you don't notice it anymore, but you begin to have a daily routine, a daily practice of integrating magic into your daily life that you don't even have to think about anymore. And then magic becomes a part of your life without you feeling as if you have to exert all of this extra stress, all of this extra effort, all of this extra pressure in order to do so. Now, I'm not saying there's no room for magic that is more complicated or more involved, there's definitely space for deeper ritual, deeper meditation, deeper energy work, larger, more elaborate spell work, things of that nature. But you don't have to feel as if it always has to be that way or that's the only way to practice magic. I also really like to integrate magic into my bath and beauty routine or my hygiene routine. So there are lots and lots of ways to do that. A small example would be imagining and really putting forth some effort and some intention towards energetic cleansing while you are physically cleansing, specifically in a shower. Just imagining all of the energy that you no longer need washing away from you, just using your mental intention and your focus and your visualization or your imagination to energetically cleanse as you are physically cleansing, and just see it, everything that you don't need, all the energy, all the emotions, all of yesterday's gunk, all of everybody else's energy that you have taken upon yourself. Just see that all washing down the drain and imagine yourself glowing and sparkling with new vibrant energy in order to take forth into your day. So those are two examples. Well, those are three examples. There's lots and lots of ways that you can integrate magic into your house cleaning. And that also doesn't have to be complicated. It also doesn't have to include or require specialized products. Now, there are a lot of specialized products out there, and a lot of them are really wonderful, but I'm just saying you don't absolutely have to use them. Like I said, folk magic is supposed to be practical. It's supposed to be approachable. So there's lots of ways that you can use the things that are already available to you at your grocery store or in your kitchen to implement magic into your house cleaning. Personally, I buy products that I feel carry with them the energies that I want to have in my home and in my daily life. So we use orange oil. We use an orange cleaner that has orange oil in it to mop our floors. Orange is very uplifting. It's very vibrant. It's associated with happiness and confidence and raising your spirits. It's associated with abundance and that kind of energy. So we use the orange oil for washing the floor. I always keep white vinegar around. White vinegar is an old standby in folk magic for getting rid of negative or unwanted vibrations. And I keep a lot of lavender oil around the house that I use for calming, loving intentions, as well as for clarifying your heart, getting centered in your heart, that sort of thing. And those are just some examples. Let me see if there's something else that I can think of that would be very useful. Just setting an intention before you wake up or after, right as soon as you wake up or right before you go to sleep is another way to easily integrate magic or good energy into your daily life. Just take a moment to set an intention before you go to sleep at night or right as soon as you wake up in the morning. So these are things that you can remember to do when you're in bed or when you're still in bed. I like to make my nightstand a little bit of an altar. I like to keep some things there that are part of a reminder of my practice or things that keep me focused on specific sorts of energies that I'm bringing into my life. So I hope those are some good examples. And if you are here, I haven't seen him here. I know who submitted this question, but if anyone else has any follow-up questions, let me know. Next question. Is it possible to have a spiritual connection with someone you don't know? The short answer is yes. The long answer requires me to define what I believe is a spiritual connection. From my personal perspective, what I believe is a spiritual connection is a connection that is designed to assist us with our spiritual evolution through teaching us lessons. Oftentimes, those lessons are about ourselves and what we need to learn in order to grow and develop as people. So it's possible to have a spiritual connection with somebody that you don't know. but it's unlikely that you are, in order for you to really be, in order for you to have this type of spiritual connection, then you would eventually have to meet them or interact with them. However, somebody could be teaching you something about yourself from afar, and that could be a part of your spiritual evolution. It could be something that you are meant to be participating in. It could be someone that you're meant to be gaining knowledge or information from. So there's a lot of different ways that this can work, and you can certainly have a spiritual connection with somebody that you don't know. And there's a lot of different kinds of spiritual connections, right? So I would say that even just learning something from somebody about yourself that causes you to grow, causes you to change, and therefore becomes a part of your spiritual evolution or your personal evolution and growth, that is a spiritual connection. So it's certainly possible with someone that you don't know. Is it negative to be always searching for good energy people, a constant search for that electricity? I wouldn't say that it's a negative thing, but this seems like it's a two-part question. And the first part of the question is it negative to be always searching for good energy people? So no, I don't think it is. I think it's really important to be conscious about the kind of people that you want to allow in your life. And I think it's a good thing to be specific about setting those intentions about the kind of relationships you want to have and the kind of people you want in your life. You want people that are going to influence you in a positive way, people that are going to inspire you, people that are going to help you grow, people who you admire, people who have attributes and characteristics and activities that you can aspire to, things that you are seeking to have more of within yourself. It's very helpful to surround yourself with people who are doing those kinds of things that you admire, because it's going to help you be inspired and get to that point as well. However, the other part of the question is a constant search for that electricity, right? So then that makes it seem more like you could be concerned that you have an addiction to the energy of other people and kind of needing or wanting that energy for yourself to help you feel this spark of electricity, feel this spark of inspiration. So it's not necessarily a negative thing, but I would say that there's probably something here that you need to examine a little bit further, such as, why are you looking for that spark of electricity? Is it just to make you feel good? Is it just because you feel good, kind of soaking up the energy of other people? That's something that needs to be examined a little bit further, and something that really only you can answer for yourself. But because you're asking me this question, it seems like you have a concern. So I would encourage you to examine it further and really specifically examine your motivations. If this has become an addiction where you're kind of soaking up and always hungry for the energy of other people, then it would be healthy to redirect that a little bit and get some of what you need from yourself, or find some ways to inspire yourself, find some ways to get that electricity through the actions that you take for yourself in your daily life, through the activities that you have. Find some ways to inspire yourself, find some ways to energize yourself, find some ways to make yourself or allow yourself or cause yourself manifest that spark within you, so that you don't always have to get it from other people. Okay. Is it normal to get an idea during meditation, and should we act upon it? It is absolutely 100% normal to get an idea during meditation. During meditation, our minds are quiet. When we are really truly in a meditative state, our brains go into a different wavelength. And that is the time when we can receive insights and inspirations and clarity and ideas and, sudden light bulb moments, like, oh my God, it makes so much sense to me now. Or we've had a problem that we're working on, or a challenge that we're facing, and all of a sudden we get the answer during meditation. This is very, very common. to have an idea about your life or to have an idea about an action that you should take that comes during meditation is also very common and very normal. And most of the time is going to be something positive for you, even if you reflect on it later and you're like, this seems really uncharacteristic of me. I'm not sure why I would have the idea to take this specific action. It kind of feels strange. Try not to second guess yourself. Try to go with your intuition, because most likely, like 95% of the time, if you're really in a meditative state and an idea like this is coming to you, it's based on intuition, or it's based on spiritual guidance, or it's based on your higher power. It's based on something that you're tapping into that you're not tapping into in your daily life. So as long as it's not something, really crazy, I mean, you're going to have to kind of ask yourself some questions about that. You're the only one who can make the decision, but most likely this is a good thing to act upon. Are there side effects to developing yourself or your intuition? The side effect is that you are going to see things more clearly, and you're not always going to see what you want to see. You are going to be woken up to some things in your life and in the world that maybe you would have been happy to ignore previously. You're probably going to be called to make some changes in your life. You're probably going to be called to make some different types of decisions. You're going to be called to face some flaws about yourself. You're going to be called to take a hard look at yourself, your actions, your behaviors, and your interactions with other people and in relationships. And you're not going to be able to ignore it. If you do, you're going to be aware that you're willfully ignoring it, and that's going to feel really bad. Those are the kinds of side effects that you will have from working on yourself and developing your intuition and working on your spiritual evolution. Now, another side effect that you may have if you're an incredibly sensitive person, or if you're incredibly spiritually gifted, or you're really in tune with these kinds of things, or depending on your specific connections, your specific gifts, is that you may become a bit more sensitive to spiritual phenomena, right? Or people would say supernatural. I don't call it supernatural because everything is natural. There's no such thing as supernatural. I view this as a natural part of our existence and our connection to the world, including our connection to the unseen world. So that may be a side effect that some people experience, is an uptick in experiences of that nature, experiences of a spiritual nature, or experiences of connecting with the unseen world, or connecting with the world beyond the veil, or experiencing things like hearing voices because your clairaudience is developing, experiencing things like being more aware of your thoughts because you're receiving messages in your thoughts, experiences like receiving clear dreams or messages in your dreams that may startle you. So what I'm saying is that as your gifts develop, some of the symptoms that you have pertaining to your specific gift, the symptoms are going to be very different pertaining to your specific gift and how that works for you. Some of these symptoms that you may have may be startling to you at first, and you may think, what is happening to me? Why am I seeing a vision? Why am I hearing a voice? Why is there a strange knock at the door and nobody is there? But if you have been working on this in a conscientious manner, then you shouldn't be afraid of it. You should know that you are connected in that way. This should be something that you are aware of. And as long as you don't feed too much fear into it, then your only task is to figure out how to further understand it, how to further develop it, and how to use it to your benefit as well as the benefit of others in your life. I do recommend additional, for people who are developing in this way, I do recommend spiritual cleansing on a very regular basis. I also recommend learning how to energetically or spiritually protect yourself on a regular basis. I do think that is very important. I think that's something that anyone who's on this kind of a path or experiencing this kind of growth or phenomena should definitely research and practice and learn about. Yeah, so those are some of the symptoms and some of the things that I recommend. And if anybody has follow-up questions about that, please let me know. I'm down to the last two questions, and then I see that I've got some waiting on YouTube. Do I need a sacred space or altar to develop my mediumship abilities? That is going to depend heavily upon your specific beliefs and if you have a specific path or a specific spiritual tradition or not. Generally speaking, you do not have to have a religious or a spiritual path or tradition in order to develop your mediumship abilities or in order to develop any psychic abilities or your intuition or spiritual gifts. This all is and should be highly, highly personalized and highly dependent upon your personal beliefs and what works for you. These are practices, these are things that exist outside of religion or spiritual belief. It just so happens that I have a belief system. That doesn't mean that everybody has to. And if you do have a belief system, it might be different than mine. Therefore, you do not need an altar or a sacred space in order to develop or practice your mediumship skills. However, if you wanted to work within the tradition of spiritualism or spiritismo, for example, which I think that's what this person was getting to, in that case, you're going to want to set up an altar, but you don't have to in the beginning. You can work on developing that without any kind of sacred space. The reason why, let me backtrack a little. To develop your mediumship, I would recommend that you learn spiritual cleansing first and that you learn spiritual or energetic protection. It can also be energetic cleansing, spiritual or energetic cleansing, and spiritual or energetic protection. Those are really important. When you learn this, specifically for mediumship, so when you learn this, then you are essentially carrying the energetic sacred space or the spiritual sacred space within you. You can create that. You can work on that. You can manifest that anywhere that you are. You do not have to create a specific sacred space for that. You are the sacred space. In reality, we don't need any tools. We don't need any specific spaces. We don't need any altars. We don't need these physical things in order to practice any of this, or even in order to practice magic. We can be doing this outside by a tree. We can be doing this in the middle of the woods. We can be doing this in an empty parking lot. We can be doing this in our car. We can be doing this at the kitchen table. We are the sacred vessel, okay? Now, if you're practicing within a specific tradition, as I mentioned, then you're going to want to eventually have that altar. But essentially, just generally speaking, nothing outside of yourself is needed, especially for developing the gifts that you already have. Okay, so it really depends on the tradition that you're working in, or if you even want to work in a tradition. Why are your coaching sessions open-ended, and what can I expect from that? My coaching sessions are currently open-ended because I began my coaching at the request of a couple of my clients who wanted to learn very specific things from me. So I haven't, so my coaching sessions are hand-tailored to the needs of the individual at hand. And what I specialize in is assisting you with developing the practices needed in order to develop, strengthen, and use your intuition and your spiritual gifts, including your psychic abilities. And I really love working one-on-one in that highly customized kind of way. And at this time, I don't want to narrow it down, because different people need different things from me, including the number of sessions that they may need. I've had clients who wanted to develop something and it only took them 4 sessions in order to develop that. And then I have other clients that they start with one thing and it turns into another thing and then another thing, because in spiritual work, we're really getting down to the root of the issues. So we may start with something like learning how to do dream work and then end up with something like learning how to develop our core happiness. So I like to keep it open-ended at this point so that I am free and available to work closely one-on-one and to hand tailor this work to what you absolutely need, and to start where you are now on your path now, wherever that may be. So I don't want to exclude anyone, and I don't want to narrow things too far down, because I'm helping you to develop your spiritual practice, and I'm helping you to develop your spiritual connection, your intuition, and your psychic abilities. And what I do, I'm kind of moving on to the second part of the question, which was what can I expect from your open-ended sessions? So what I do there is I create a structured plan for you with specific energetic exercises, specific meditations, specific practices, specific techniques that help you to develop in the way that you need to develop. Now, you do the work. I just assist you with what that work is. And then I'm here for you when any kind of a blockage or obstacle comes up, when any kind of an unexpected challenge comes up, when you have a question, when you need assistance and support with these practices. Now, there's a lot of ways that this can be done. I have a lot of people inquire about coaching sessions because they're experiencing mediumship symptoms. They're developing their clairaudience on their own. They're having visions. They're already, developing their clairvoyance, and they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to take it further, or they don't know how to control it. They don't know how to really use it to their advantage. And they contact me, but then they get scared. They get scared of the fact that they have to put the work in for themselves, that this isn't something where I'm going to do a spell for them and then they're going to be able to control it. They get scared because they see that they have to put in the work, they have to put in the dedication, they have to put in the consistency. So if you do think about contacting me for coaching sessions, then be prepared that this is for people who want to be dedicated, who want to put in the work, who want to be consistent. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. It doesn't have to be ongoing phone sessions. It doesn't have to be ongoing video sessions. I have several tiers of coaching services that are available so that I can meet the needs of all kinds of different kinds of people where they are in their lives at this time. I even have a written report coaching session, which lays out the specific techniques, the specific meditations, or the specific energy exercises for you to practice. It creates a routine for you. I give it to you in a report so that you have something to refer to, so then you can go off independently and work on your practice and develop on your own. And then if you have any questions, you can always contact me later. You can always book a one-off phone session and let me know, hey, Miss Melinda, I've been working on this and I've come up against this challenge, or I've come up against this interesting experience that I didn't expect. What do you think about that? Can you help me with it? So it doesn't have to be a series of ongoing sessions. There's lots of different ways that I can help you, but it's all going to require that you put in some work, some hard work and some dedication on your own. Now, if you're somebody who is good at researching, good at reading, somebody who's been studying this stuff a long time, and somebody who's good at setting up a routine or setting up a practice for yourself and sticking with it, and someone who's really good at problem solving, then you can certainly develop these things on your own. The reason that somebody like me is helpful is not because I'm going to do the work for you, but it's because I've already spent all of the years researching and reading and actually practicing the exercises, putting in the work, practicing the energy work, developing the meditations. I've already been doing that all of my life. So I already have the structures in place. I already know what works for people, and I can just hand that over to you, which lets you save a lot of time and skip a lot of steps. So that's a little bit about the coaching. And I see I've got a bunch of questions. I started getting questions on YouTube first, so I'm going to go ahead and address those. First question, besides tarot, what are some other ways I can communicate with my spirit guides or spirits in general? And do I need specific questions every time I speak with one, or can I casually converse with them? First of all, yeah, you can definitely casually converse with them. You don't have to have specific questions. In fact, I highly, highly recommend that when you're developing your relationship with your ancestors or your spirit guides, for example, that you spend time just talking to them, just like you would a friend or a different kind of family member. Most people in the research that I have come across regarding developing your relationship with your ancestors, very, very many people from all kinds of different traditions recommend that you begin by just talking to them about your life, right? So you can definitely do that. Now, some other ways, and not only can you definitely do that, but it's very helpful in creating the relationship and in creating the bond. So I highly recommend it. Your other question is, what are some other ways you can communicate with them in general? So any other form of divination, you can use a pendulum, you can use runes. I'm just mentioning forms of divination because you have mentioned tarot. Now, you actually don't need to have any tools in order to communicate with them. The most important thing that you can do and the most powerful thing that you can do is learn to develop your own gifts. First of all, you identify, is my strongest gift or my strongest sense or my strongest way of receiving messages or guidance or intuition, is it coming through my hearing? Is it coming through my eyesight? Is it coming through my heart? Is it coming through feelings in my body? Which sense is it coming through? Which sense is your intuition most strongly connected to? Then you begin to develop that sense, and then you use that sense in order to communicate with them. Now, what I find is that very, very many people who are spiritually in tune, very many people who are spiritually in tune have clairaudience. That seems to be a very common gift, and it seems to be a gift that is most often overlooked and most often questioned. So I do recommend just simply sitting quietly. You would want to first do some kind of exercise to ground or center, or some kind of meditation to clear your mind, really get in tune, and then sit quietly in a space where you feel safe and comfortable, or in a sacred space, whether that's in nature or whether that's in a sacred space you've created in your home, something that you find to be especially spiritually attuned. And just quietly speak to them, and then ask them questions, and then sit quietly and listen for the answer, and see if you receive the answer in your thoughts. And then don't second guess yourself and say, oh, it's just my thoughts, it's not blah, blah, blah. Pay attention to what that thought feels like and sounds like, because when we receive guidance or intuition through our thoughts or in our own mind, it feels as if it's coming from a different part of our head, or it sounds different. There are going to be different qualities to it. So I recommend paying attention to that. You can also use spirit boards or talking boards. I was reading about witch's flying ointment. Does that assist in having more vivid dreams? I would love to connect with my mother. Is this ointment useful in your opinion? Yes, absolutely. This is an age-old tradition, which I see a lot of people bringing back these days. You have to be careful. I don't recommend making it for yourself. I recommend getting it from somebody very reputable. In fact, I would recommend a flying ointment from Sarah Ann Lawless. Now, that's her personal name, and I don't remember her business name, but she's very, very well known, and she makes flying ointments, and they would definitely be useful for dream work. I would say not necessary for dream work. There are lots of ways that you could do dream work. And what flying ointments are most often used for is going into a trance or a deep meditation, and then maybe even doing some astral projecting in order to make these kinds of connections. But you can certainly use it in dream work, and I would recommend it. I do think that it's useful, especially when you get a high quality, safe product from a reputable practitioner, such as Sarah Ann Lawless. So Yeah, so check out Sarah Ann Lawless, because I see someone else saying they would want a recipe for a flying ointment. I'm not going to give out that recipe because I don't make those ointments for sale. And you have to be really careful with those ointments. So, like, for example, you could make those ointments out of psychedelics. And they did traditionally, and you could still, of course, that's illegal. So these are things that you need to research on your own. Don't we all? It smells heavenly, Linda, but I'm not sure how to use it effectively. Yeah, all of the flying ointments contain psychotropic herbs. So that's going to be like belladonna, mugwort, wormwood. Mugwort and wormwood are ones that I really like to use. And those are really effective herbs for working with the dead or communing with the dead or making connections with the dead, such as your ancestors. So if you are specifically seeking to make connection with your ancestors, which I think it looks like you are, then I would recommend finding one that has those herbs in it. It's going to have other things as well. Okay, do I have any questions on Instagram? I saw people throwing out links. I saw people doing all kinds of things. Lol, silly question. Is bird poop good luck, lol? You can totally ignore this question, but it just happened to me. So yeah, and hi, Chanel or Chanel, sorry. Yes, that's an old folk belief that bird poop is good luck. And I have found that a lot of different cultures believe that. I believe it. I mean, it's a superstition. It's a folk belief, but I practice folk magic. So yeah, I definitely believe that it's good luck, that it's a sign. Who's here? Lots of people here. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. It's so nice to see people. So nice to see everybody, familiar faces and new people. And I've really been enjoying all of the questions that I'm getting today, the pre-submitted questions, as well as the questions you're submitting now. I see fairest of them all. Thank you for being here. Nice to see you. I see the Cosmic Saints. Hello. Thank you for being here. What's this? What is this comment, Chanel? Okay, everyone. Well, it looks like I'm just about caught up on questions. So if you haven't been here before and you weren't here at the beginning of the session, our live spirit chats happen once a week, usually on Saturdays or Sundays, but not necessarily. The day can't really be guaranteed, but very often on the weekends. Always at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. They're live on YouTube and they're live on Instagram. They're scheduled on YouTube so you can see when they're going to happen and you can plan for that, set a reminder. And on Instagram, I usually announce them at least like 2 days in advance or so. And I always take early bird questions on Instagram. So this is a chance for you to participate in a group coaching session and get any of your questions answered pertaining to developing your spiritual connection, developing your spiritual practice, and developing your spiritual path. So that's wide open to all kinds of different foundational techniques and foundational research and information to help you develop. And you can also ask questions related to anything along those lines, like folk magic, candle magic, fire magic, working with your ancestors, spirit guides, guardian angels, and things of that nature, as well as divination and meditation and dream work, etc. I'm glad that you're happy about that, Chanel. Okay, so Christine has one more question. Where would you put the ointment? On third eye and temples? Thank you. Flying ointment is made to be put on sensitive areas of your body so that it absorbs, because it's going to absorb through your skin and absorb into your bloodstream directly. When you put things on your skin that absorb, they go directly into your bloodstream, which is one of the reasons that we have to be careful. Well, it's one of the reasons that essential oils work for certain health-related matters, but it's also one of the reasons we have to be really careful about using essential oils, right? And it's one of the reasons that flying oils work so well and so potently, especially when they have potent ingredients. So you put them on the areas of your body that are very sensitive, where the skin is thinner, or where there's a lot of nerves and blood vessels, so that it absorbs more quickly, like the insides of your arms, behind your elbow, like behind your ears, the places you would put perfume, as well as the insides of your thighs, your feet, your hands, etc. Because it's not just a magical practice, right? It's an actual physiological practice. It's going to absorb into your bloodstream. That's what the ointment does. It doesn't just stay on your skin. So when you're mentioning anointing your third eye and your temples, I would associate that more with something like using an oil for psychic abilities, or using an oil for spiritual connection, or using an oil for connecting with the dead, things of that nature. You can definitely use the flying ointment in those places, although you would want to be careful and check with your practitioner about getting it close to your eyes before you decide to put it on your third eye. So you could also do that, but it's going to be more important to put it on those sensitive areas of your body where it absorbs into your bloodstream. Okay, guys, we've already been on here for about 40 minutes. So we've got about 20 minutes left. Does anybody else have any questions? I'm happy to answer them to the best of my ability. And if you weren't here, I did have a couple of special announcements. The first special announcement is that coming up on the new moon, I am offering a new moon group spiritual service dedicated to Saint Dymphna. If you aren't familiar with Saint Dymphna, I have a lot of information posted about her on my Facebook page, as well as on my website. And if you are interested in joining the group spiritual service, you can go ahead and drop me a line via email to join a la carte. That is to join the individual service. The email is inquiries@missmelinda.com. And if you're interested in the group spiritual services in general, I offer a bunch of stuff through Patreon, including monthly readings and free meditations and all kinds of stuff. And you can find me, Miss Melinda's Metaphysical Services, on Patreon. The other special announcement I have is that I will be offering face-to-face readings at a nicely discounted price here in the Austin area, here in Austin, at the Vortex Lounge and Butterfly Garden on Sunday, the 12th. And that's a really good opportunity to come and speak to me face to face and get a nicely discounted reading. And I look forward to seeing you there. And I look forward to that market. The Vortex is one of my favorite places to give readings. I always look forward to giving readings there. So I hope that some of you who are in the area, who perhaps haven't had a chance to connect with me before, are happy to show up and connect, because I'm happy to meet you and I'm excited about that event. I haven't been able to participate in a witches market in like several months for one reason or another. There's been a lot of stuff going on. So I'm actually really excited and happy to go because I really enjoy them. What petitions are made to that saint on the new moon? For example, Saint Expedite is for fast work. Right. So Saint Dymphna is a healer, and she specializes in all kinds of things. But some of the biggest things that she specializes in is mental health. She assists people with issues like anxiety and depression. She also is the patron saint of rape and incest survivors. So people who are healing from those traumatic events, she's an excellent saint to go to. But healing of all sorts, and especially pertaining to serious family matters, people who have had abuse and trauma in their families, or just dysfunctional families. What else does she do? Those are the primary things that she does. Those are the things that I most highly regard her for. let me know if you have any other kind of questions about Saint Dymphna. She's not a well-known saint, but she's one that I just happen to connect with very strongly and very closely. You're welcome, JC Moji. And nice to see you here, by the way. I'm glad that you were able to make it today. Is it hard to begin work with Allegra for road opening work? So personally, I don't recommend. This is controversial. Personally, I don't specifically, generally speaking, I don't specifically recommend working with Allegra unless you are initiated into one of his traditions. So the answer to that question would be yes, it can be hard to work with him, because I recommend that you have some cultural and spiritual context for working with him, meaning that you have some education on his traditions and on his paths, and that you have learned from a trusted elder how to work with him, what he prefers, what he does not prefer, etc. Now, of course, there are lots of people who work with him in folk magic, and I don't judge that. That's their own choice and that's their own path, and people should definitely do what they are called to do. However, coming from my current position, there's been a lot that I've learned in the last few years that have led me to feel the way that I feel. There's been a lot of learning and training that I have gone through that has led me to feel the way that I feel about this currently. So that's what I have to say with working for Allegra. If you don't know a trusted elder in Santeria or Lukumi or Ifa to learn some information about working with Allegra, then I would recommend that you work with another kind of road opener spirit, because there are a lot of them, and there are a lot of them who don't require you to know such specific details. I find Ganesha to be very, very approachable. In fact, some people synchronize Ganesha with Allegra. The Holy Child of Attica is a road opener. St. Lazarus can be seen as a road opener. Hecate or Hecate is a road opener. There are lots and lots of road openers to work with, lots and lots of spirits who specialize in this kind of work. So I recommend that if you're interested in road opener work, that you do some different research about it and just really see what your options are and see what you're comfortable with. Maybe you have a calling to work with Allegra. You know, that's not for me to judge. That's only for you to judge. So if you have a calling to work with Allegra, then that's your business and you should pursue that, but you should also get proper education about it. You should understand the culture that he comes from. You should understand his traditions, and you should approach it with respect and with some education. That's my opinion about working with him. So it looks like I'm not getting that many more questions, so I may go ahead and log off early today. Oh, you're welcome, Christine. I'm so happy that you enjoy the information, and I'm so happy that you enjoy the sessions. It's been really nice to see you returning, so I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Does anyone else have any last-minute questions? We don't have that much time left anyway, but it seems like things are slowing down a little bit, so I'm probably going to log off. I'm going to make several videos today. I have videos to make for my Patreon people. I do special readings for them every month. I'm going to make some of those videos, do some readings for them. I'm going to work on my YouTube videos. I'm doing that series on curses, and I have like 3 or 4 more videos I'm going to make about that. So I think I'm going to log off and make some more videos. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Thank you so much for all of your questions. I really enjoy them. I really enjoy interacting with you. So take care, stay blessed, and have a great weekend.